This is Haystack Help Radio on KLZ 560. Haystack Help Radio is powered by HaystackHelp.com. Finding help can be like finding a needle in a haystack, but with HaystackHelp.com, finding the needle just got easier. Now, Haystack Help Radio with Scott Watley on KLZ 560.
Good afternoon and welcome to Haystack Help Radio. My name is Scott Watley. We appreciate you being with us. Special edition of Your Money Matters, right here with our good friend Kurt Rogers from Affordable Interest Mortgage. Your one-stop shop. You got that on any of your stuff yet?
One-stop shop? No.
For all your mortgage needs.
Yeah, if I try to say that, I'll mess it up again. No, I don't.
But your one-stop shop for all of your mortgage needs. Again, just regular mortgages, reverse mortgages, refinancing, whatever they can help you with. And that voice you heard was Mr. Rogers himself. How are you, sir?
My neighborhood, right? Mr.
Yeah,
Rogers'
Mr.
neighborhood.
Rogers.
They're doing a movie on him. You know that.
Oh, really?
And you know who's going to play him? They couldn't have picked a better guy.
Who's that?
Tom Hanks.
Probably
Tom Hanks
true,
is
yeah.
going to play him. You know, he I think it was the Bronze Star he won. He was in the Marines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was quite a guy.
You look back.
And he's not related to me, so
there's
no.
a lot of different quote, characters. I think the guy that played Captain Kangaroo.
Another one.
Of his name. He was a military guy.
Very
different things.
disciplined.
Yeah.
Loved
We're
kids.
dating ourselves, though.
Yeah,
Not that I ever saw that. Yeah.
But you've got a few more years than I do, but that's
Exactly.
okay.
Well, once again, Affordable Interest Mortgage, they can help you out with all your mortgage needs. Their number is 720-895-0500. And Kurt, let's talk about some programs that's happening right now.
What we're seeing a lot of folks do with home values increasing, we're seeing a lot of people start looking at doing some rehab loans. Instead of trying to get on this list and get into battles about buying a house, there's actually loan programs out now that will let you spend $100,000 to $150,000 and they'll finance it in the loan, meaning which they'll redo the whole loan and you don't have to pay for it if you have the right amount of equity. And they give you a loan on the future value of it being done. For example, if you want to pop a top, if you want to add a room, up to $100,000, $150,000, you can do all kinds of things, and then they'll finance it.
Wow.
So those are starting to become popular. There's another one that's only $35,000, and again, they give you up to what the value of the home is going to be worth when it's done, and will give you a loan up to 96% of that. So a lot of people are starting to look at that instead of going out and trying to get into these bidding wars because it is still pretty tough. There's just not enough homes. Sure.
Are you still seeing from the realtors that you're talking with where there's just multiple offers on homes?
Yeah, we're still seeing because, they talk about not as many people are moving into town, but we're still seeing the demand for homes between the 375 and the 550 is so intense that people are paying $5,000, $8,000, $12,000, $15,000 above the purchase price or the appraised price to own the home. It's just they can't find anything and they need to get a home. You're starting to see a lot more builders build single-family homes too, just trying to fulfill some of that need.
Right. I tell you, apartments are going up everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, I don't care what part of the city you're driving in, there's construction.
And, you're going to see the rates go up in June. I mean, that's pretty much a given. The feds have already talked about that. But over the last couple of days, rates have dropped pretty good. So if you're in the market, if you're shopping, you might want to consider if you find something or want to refinance, now's the time to lock that in because I don't think they'll stay down to where they are now. Mm-hmm. They're going to continue to go up because the feds have talked about 3 more rate hikes before the end of the year.
Wow.
So it's going to happen, and the economy says it can handle it. So they're always worried about inflation. So there's a lot of moving parts.
720-895-0500 is a number for Affordable Interest Mortgage. So if Kurt can help you, give him a call. Well, Kurt, tell us about our guest today.
Well, I was introduced to this man a couple of weeks ago, and he was very impressive to me. But he talked about a book that he wrote. And I got a copy of the book, and I haven't finished the book. But it was a fascinating book to me because your concept, the name of the book is called Couples Money. And it's written by Marlo, his wife, and Chris Felton. And the book is not telling you where to spend your money, but how to look at your money and how you bring in 2 different lifestyles. I thought it was a fascinating book, and I'm glad that you're on the show so we get to talk about it. Chris Felton from Couples Money.
Well, thanks for having me, man. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, Chris. And man, this is yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
I can't imagine some of the conversations because you put them in this book, and some of the conversations, those hard conversations that you guys had to have, because you were both pretty successful, but you had to have about money because your perception was so different?
So let's start in the beginning just a little bit, and then we'll get into a lot of questions here. So tell us a bit about your background and how this book came about.
Yeah, I'm a native, so grew up in Loveland, CSU grad, accounting degree, went the Big Six accounting route for 7 years, and then started my own financial services business in 1999, and went through a pretty expensive divorce, and then met my wife, who you know.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And she, thought I was all that in a bag of chips, and had some good success with our business, and had a lot of trophies and a lot of accolades. But what she didn't know was I was broke. And where the book came from was one night I had we were entering the Great Recession, and had to send my ex-wife an alimony child support payment the next day, and I didn't have the money. And so I approached my wife, who had money. So can you imagine asking your wife for the money to pay your ex-wife, right? Yeah. Pretty brilliant idea. And Volcanic Marlowe, she's not here to defend herself, but hopefully we'll have her on the show. But she was just frustrated because here she married a man who was a CPA and a financial advisor, and I'm out dispensing financial advice to people, but we were in a mess. And so Volcanic Marlowe happened. Yeah. You know how volcano kind of rises up and erupts, and she just started going off. And then I asked, well, why are we still married? And she thought about that the rest of the night. So it stopped the argument. And that was really the kind of the bottoming out. And that's where the inspiration came from the book. While she went upstairs, I just sat there and I'm like, my God, man, like, you're so much better than this. Why are you broke? And then I realized that wherever I've had a money problem in my life, I've always been there. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but
yeah.
And it was the first time in my life I took 100% responsibility for, it wasn't my ex-wife, it wasn't the economy, I took 100% responsibility, and then, went to work, and we'll probably cover some of that other stuff, but went to work on really what was my mentality around money that was creating
the being broke. How long did it take you to write the book?
Well, my wife really wrote it, but because of the title, she kind of had to slap my name on there. But the book kind of was birthed, a couple years after that, and it took a couple years. And the next day, my wife came together. We came together, and instead of declaring bankruptcy and divorcing, which I think most people at that point would have done, she took her role, the responsibility, and I took mine, and we got on the same page. And basically, what she did is she said, we don't know how to think around money. I'm going to go interview these kind of ultra wealthy people that not only had money wealth, but they had, great marriages, great spiritual life, great kids, they were wealth in all facets. And then she just went and interviewed them and said, we have to learn how they think. We have to change our thinking, or nothing's going to change. And that's really where the book came from, is it's the common denominator of what all these people told us to do. And then we did it. And then we had an absolute massive financial transformation in our lives.
Sure.
Why do you think 90% of the people have problems with money? Where does it come from?
Well, it's, from age 0 to 4, basically whatever we're told as kids, we have no outer guard, so to speak. We don't have a gatekeeper. So we just kind of accept whatever comes to us. And then we get influenced by society. So it starts there, and then over a period of time. So what I was told was, well, rich people are crooks. Money won't make you happy. You can't take it with you. So these are things I just accepted from my parents. My mom said, you either have it or you don't. And so by the time you're 18, you're like 100% hardwired program. Like there's no thinking. It just happens.
Response.
It's just a response, just like me driving over here. There wasn't a lot of thinking. It was just a program response. And then we never question it. So we accept these stories as truths, and then we never really question their validity. And so the challenge with most people is they know what to do. It's the gap between what they know to do and what they actually do. So I knew what to do. I was telling people what to do, but there was a gap there. And the gap was my repetitive 4 to 5 to 6, 7 stories that I started questioning. So, 90+% of people retire broke. It's not because they don't know what to do. We live in the richest country on the planet. It's just their beliefs don't support it. And so until they kind of do the work that we talk about in the book and the stuff Marlo and I talk about, until you actually sit down and like shed a light on those beliefs, nothing's going to change. All you're going to do is, what I was doing. Let's rearrange the outside world to fit
you.
Yeah, to fit me. I want the outside world to change while I insist on remaining the same. So to answer your question, Kurt, their beliefs don't support wealth.
Well, in one of your chapters, I think it was chapter 3, you talk about delusions. And when I was reading through that, you talk about this guy that's spending, each member of the family is spending like $20. They pull $20 a month out of cash. It's the way they perceive that. And that wealth, explain to us that wealth is created from inside out, not from outside in. It's kind of what you're talking about now.
Yeah, I mean, it's those beliefs. It's I like to call them stories, because the people I've worked with said, "Hey, Chris, there's you, there's your thinking. You plus your thinking equals your result. So if you don't like your result, there's you. So all you got to do is shift your thinking." And so once your internal story changes, and that's everything. That's your health, right? If you don't like your health, you don't like your weight. There's an unsupportive belief or an unsupportive story that's creating that result. If you don't like your wealth, there's an unsupportive story. There's an unsupported belief. So the inside out change is, literally identifying the stories and the beliefs that are creating the result, and then shifting that perception through, all the stuff that we talk about, all the personal growth, all the personal development, and once that shift happens internally, then the outside world matches up to it. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, because it's your world. You're redoing the thinking.
Yeah.
So you're changing your world.
Amen.
And it works. It's like, Romans talks about, you got to renew your mind. If it ain't working, you got to keep doing the same thing, and that's insanity. It's not going to change.
So looking at, you guys do seminars, you say. Who are you seeing coming to these seminars as far as age groups and couples, length of time being together, all that kind of thing?
It's all over the board. It's, it started with kind of the wife dragging the man, right? So the guy's usually sitting there with his arms crossed, and he's skeptical, and he doesn't want to be there, and he'd rather go have a colonoscopy than sit through a seminar.
That's a good point.
Without the prep, even.
The prep.
Well, men don't want to think that they don't know how to handle money.
Yeah,
it really affects our ego much more.
Yeah, well, and it's and once they hear our story and they hear from me, because we lay our dirty laundry out there, right?
I think that's. Let me just keep your train of thought there. I think that's key, because you know what? If you got up there and just acted like you've had all the answers your whole life, I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? We can relate to screwing up.
That we all can.
We've all been there.
We've all been there.
I think that's probably, if I just had to say in 10 minutes of knowing you, and key to your success is that honesty.
And that's what I was impressed with the book. Some of those conversations that you put out in the book that you and your wife had to have, they had to be long, intense, and hard. Because you guys really, from what you wrote in the book, had to open yourself up and admit a lot of frailties and mistakes that you had made.
Yeah. Well, I hired a coach for 3.5 years, and it's going along the same, school of thought. And he said, your need to be right is going to cost you your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God. Yeah, self-righteous, totally self-righteous. And ego's so dangerous, especially around, well, it's just dangerous in general, right? Sure. It's not who we really are. And it's we have this internal dialogue called our ego, or you can call it your personal mind. And its number one job is to keep you stuck. And what most people do is they spend their whole life. My dad did it, passed away in March, 87. Just his whole life thinking that this internal dialogue that's ego-driven was going to help him. So you either engage with it, you push against it, you wrestle with it, And my big breakthrough was that's not who I am. And so I had to get really humbled, coachable. I had to let go of what I thought it was going to take to get financially independent, because as my coach said, this is an interesting conversation. I hired him for 3.5 years, and the number one, his role was to hold me and my wife accountable on saving money and doubling our incomes. We had to really double our income just to kind of get back to even. And so the first week he said, well, Chris, did you save any money this week? And I was like, well, no, I didn't have any to save. I mean, that's a pretty good answer, right? If I don't have any money to save.
That's a pretty safe one.
Right, yeah. And then he, I'll keep it clean, but he said, Chris, you need to save money. And I said, well, I know that. And then he just lit into me. And he said, you don't know anything. He said, based on results, you don't know expletive. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to work together, you say that one more time, it's over. Because you don't know. Because based on results, you don't know. I'm like, I can't believe I'm paying this guy, right? But that was, I coach a lot of people, and they show up because when we're kids, we get this like, we got to look good, we got to look right, we don't want to look stupid, So we show up, especially men, with this like, I know that kind of armor, and they don't always like it. But in our seminars, I'm like, okay, if you knew it, you'd be living the results. And if you're not living the results, you should probably give up on that a little bit, right? It's
kind of like, well, if I want to learn to be a good baseball player, I'm not going to think I am one. I have to go learn it from somebody else and be taught the right way to do things. And after reading your book, I've started to rethink about how I look at things and how I've kind of fallen into this category that, I know what I'm doing here, but I don't have enough. And I'm like, okay, I got to start rechanging them. So if I want to be good at something, whether I want to be a good mortgage broker or I want to be a good husband, I need to practice at it, and I need to go to somebody that can teach me that, because I don't have those instincts. And your book brought that out to me. It was very clear the way I look at money is kind of like how my parents looked at money.
Right. You're listening to Haystack Help Radio, a special edition of Your Money Matters. The book is Couples Money, what every couple should know about money and relationships. How can they get a copy?
Couplesmoney.com, Amazon.com. It's actually on Audible as well, so there's an audio version. Yep.
That means we got to listen to it.
Yeah. Put it in the car while you're driving. Okay. But a funny little story, and I talked about it in Delusions, how people were taking $20 out of their ATM a week, and at the end of the month, they've taken out over $800, and they say, well, I don't have any money to save. They keep forgetting to taking $20 out.
Yeah.
And it was justifiable. It was okay.
Yeah.
Simple little things like that.
We got to take a short break, and we'll be back with more with Chris Felton right after this.
What could you do with an extra $500, $1,000, or even $1,500 per month? How would that change things for you? Would you buy a new car, pay off bills, or just feel a bit more secure about your retirement? What if I told you there's a way to make your dreams a reality? I'm talking about trading and investing in the market. Now, before you say, oh, that's not for me, just hear me out. I want to invite you to a half-day trading course so you can check this out. I promise you, you'll go away smarter than when you came in. We here at Online Trading Academy sponsor this, and we'll even send you home with a free home study video guide. Your money's doing nothing for you in a CD or mutual fund. Learn how to profit when the market's up or down. Call us now while seats are still available at 303-325-2776. Use offer code RADIO50. 303-325-2776. That's 303-325-2776.
Without changing your budget, own your home faster. Take AIM, 720-895-0500. Many of our clients have learned to pay less interest to the bank, not change their spending habits, and own their home faster. Affordable Interest Mortgage has a possible solution. 720-895-0500. Does your current loan allow you to access your equity without refinancing for another loan at higher rates? Does your current loan allow your equity to make your mortgage payment without late fees or dinging your credit? At AIM, we have a loan that allows you those freedoms, all for 30 years. This could be the last loan you need. Pay off your home faster, pay less interest to the bank, access your equity when you need it, skip payments. Call AIM for details, 720-895-0500. If you're tired of paying all that interest up front on a traditional 30-year fixed, call 720-895-0500 and let us save you thousands. Home of the Asset Manager, locally owned and operated, where it is all about you. 720-895-0500. Regulated by DOR, NMLS 298191, Equal Credit Lender.
When people see the new, beautiful cat lodge at Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, they're pretty impressed. With its sleek condo spaces, stunning wall murals reflecting Colorado mountainscapes, custom-built cat trees made from real aspen and spruce, and a colorful and entertaining fish tank, we couldn't be happier to show it off. The Cat Lodge is a special place for cats of all ages and sizes to hang out when their families are away, providing much-needed peace and tranquility. Whether your special friend loves to lounge, nest, explore, or be entertained, you can rest assured that your special companion will find something that suits his or her fancy. The atmosphere is relaxing and stress-free and filled with cat-friendly activities and objects of interest. At Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center, we understand how stressful it can be to leave a beloved pet behind when you have to be away. Call Lone Tree Veterinary Medical Center with your questions about our new Cat Lodge and our cat boarding services. 303-708-8050 or visit LoneTreeVet.com.
Rush to Reason with John Rush, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KLZ 560.
Welcome back to Haystack Help Radio. If you're just joining us, my name is Scott Watley, along with Kurt Rogers from Affordable Interest Mortgage. Our special guest today, Mr. Chris Felton. And him and his wife, Marlo, have written a book, Couples, Money, What Every Couple Should Know About Money and Relationships. Now, Kurt, there's really 130 pages, dude. That's all we need to know.
It's a simple read.
Yeah.
I mean, when she's talking in there, she'll go on a page and a half. When Chris talks, it's about a half a page. So you kind of see who, like you said earlier, your wife wrote the book, and it was really pretty. You kind of understand that.
So, getting in, I mean, all the different chapters that are in here, and again, very easy read. So again, go to that couplesmoney.com and get your copy. You tell your story, and then how do you get people to open up? Whether it be and I assume most time it is the husband that's the hardest to open up. Most women are trying to get somewhere with the guy. But because of your story, is that what you see that kind of seems to break the ice with people, to get them to open up, to even be willing to talk about these?
Yeah, I mean, it's this is our purpose. So I think it comes through that our story. I mean, usually within a few minutes, the wife's starting to tear up because financial stress is
huge,
significant, right? And, the husband doesn't like to see the wife in pain, right? And so that's going to wake them up. But I think going through the story, I think the concept that hits them pretty early by us using our example is, if you're living the results, you don't need to be here. If you're not, you're delusional. Mm-hmm. And that was my thing, right? And my coach said, Chris, optimism and delusion sleep in the same bed together. Right? And I didn't want to look at it. So yeah, I think our story, and I think they understand that, we're here. This is our ministry. This is what we want to do. There's not a lot of books written by couples. It's usually a man expert, so to speak, and a woman expert. And in the world of personal development, there's really not a couple, but we're all couples pretty much by and large, right? Sure. So
and when you read those books, they talk about where to invest it and how to make it and what you want to get and how to earn it. They don't talk about the relationship that it causes you in your marriage, or like you wrote in the book. What do you mean when you talk about the relationship with your money?
Yeah, I mean, I do you guys golf? Does anybody golf?
Well, I call it Army golf, a little over here.
Yeah, right. There, so I played Friday. Anyway, my best analogy is what's more important, the golf club or the golf swing?
Swing. The
swing's infinitely more important, right? And so, but when the golf club infomercial comes on, I'm always paying attention because I'm looking for the club
It solves my
that's going
swing.
to solve my swing. And my wife often reminds me that until I actually go to work on my swing, the club's not going to matter. So the club's important, but it's not as important as the swing. If I meet Phil Mickelson at the first tee and we trade clubs, even though I'm right-handed and he's left-handed, he'll probably still beat me, right? Because of his swing. So a lot of guys in the industry and the how-tos, they're all selling golf clubs. They're all selling the products. They're all selling the how-tos. But if you don't have a good relationship, it's not going to matter, right? 90% of lottery winners are dead broke or in jail inside of 10 years. Yep. You know, you see these athletes and people are like, oh, they're stupid. They're idiots. No, man, it's their unconscious programming is so powerful that if money's bad, rich people are or whatever those internal stories are that I encourage everyone to grasp onto, it won't matter. And so if you don't have a healthy relationship with money, as one of my friends says, when I bring up the word money, what's the first thing that comes up? And for a lot of people, it's hard to make, it's hard to save, anger, frustration. Well, if money was your friend and you thought about them as anger, frustration, you don't want to be around them, it causes stress. If money was your friend, would money hang out with you? No, your friend's not going to hang out with you if that's their perception. So money's going to go to some place where it's not necessarily loved, but it's going to be appreciated. So that's what I had to do. My internal dialogue had to change and my relationship had to change in order to experience wealth.
One of your chapters, you talk about keeping up with the Joneses. This is one of those things that get embedded. And the Joneses can't keep up with the Joneses, kind of. I thought it was an interesting chapter.
Yeah. There's a concept out there that a good friend of mine named Steve Siebold talks about called approval addiction. He has a whole seminar on it. And he interviewed 25,000 people that had quit their businesses, sales businesses, 25,000. And he asked them, do you have a need for the approval of other people? And 0.2% said they did. Well, actually, approval addiction drives the whole thing. Needing the approval of other people causes fear of public speaking, all that stuff. So I had an approval addiction that I wanted to look successful. And so I spent money to gain approval from other people. And then my coach said, your need for approval is going to be the biggest check you've ever written in your life, because you're spending so much money to get approval of other people that you're broke. So
to buy that set of golf clubs, to drive that car.
I mean, I had to look it. Yeah. And it created, a divorce. It created, this almost divorce with Marlo at that point. And it's an interesting concept, this whole approval addiction thing, and the need to look right and the need to look good and all that. And that's the outside in approach that never works.
Do you find most people that you sit down and talk with, they, in their mind, they feel like, we've been trying to live by this, but do most people have budgets? Do they have goals? Or most people just flying by the seat of their pants, so to speak, and waiting, just trying to get through every month?
Yeah. I mean, when Marlo and I were trying to right the ship, and this is a year before the kind of volcanic episode, right? She brought the 4-letter word called budget. I know it's 6 letters, but it was a 4-letter word. And we sat down and I was in resistance to it. I hated it. And so what you resist will continue to persist. And so most people aren't following that because they're not dealing with the relationship with it. They're not dealing with, the root is let's deal with the budget. The symptom is I have horrible stories around money. So if I don't deal with the symptom, the root's not gonna happen. But what shifted for us was when we sat down and I was just sick of being broke, man. I was sick of it. And I was so tired of financial stress, and it'd been prevalent in my family for generations. And I said, what do you want? I'm like, what's going to make you feel better? And she's like, we need to be able to save money. And she set a savings goal. And it was the first time that savings goal in my life became emotional. And it went from being a left brain analytical conversation that never works. people try to go after their goals analytically. It doesn't work. World-class people attach emotion to their goals. And so when I was like, all I want to do is experience relief, it's very powerful. I just want to feel relief around money. And when I started doing that and doing some of the work that we talk about in the book and actually imaging that and getting my unconscious mind to buy into the fact that relief was what I wanted, guess what happened? I didn't blow money. I didn't buy garbage because I was like, no, the most important thing in our life right now around money is we got to be able to save money. And it's going to release stress for Marlo. It's going to release stress for me. And I developed all these reasons because if you find enough reasons, you'll find the way.
Right.
And when it becomes emotional, it becomes emotional. And so then the budget showed up, Scott, and it was like, okay, now I'm open to it. Because now you got my buying, now you got my belief, now I'm excited about it. But really what changed us was the $5 and $10 a day garbage.
Yeah.
When we started, in the book I talk about, I had a Quiznos habit. I should be a stinking shareholder in that deal, right? But but it was $10-15 a day for 5 years, 5, 6, 7 times a week. And then when I actually understood compound interest, albeit I taught it to everybody.
Yeah.
When I sat down, I'm like, interesting. So I've been doing this for 5 years, $5-10 a day, compounded 8% over 30 years, multiple 6 figures. And then I picked up a book called Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I don't know if you guys have heard of that book. Unbelievable book. But it talks about this unconscious thing, which is your blueprint. It calls it your money blueprint. And his quote that changed my life was, until you start managing the money you have now well, you'll see no more. I was like, oh my God, it's small things cared for. Because I was waiting for, okay, once this big check comes in, then I'm going to get my stuff together. Once this happens, once I started taking care of the small stuff, Scott, then budgeting, small dollars, all that success is all about small things cared for in whatever area in your life.
Yep. And I think you said something early on, the key that, no, Victoria's not listening today. But anyway,
I know my wife
is taking the responsibility. And I think if you had to pick one thing that's, first of all, you got to do before you can go anywhere in the book or anywhere in life. But I think that's probably the hardest part because, guys, we just tend, I'll just say guys, we just tend to not want to look at it. Hey, I want to do the things I want to do. I want to, for me, it's hunting and, doing the outdoor things and
well, we always feel like, we can just work harder and make more money.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. And that your book kind of covers that. You just can't put in more hours because then there's more of a consequence over here. What is it? 60% of all divorces are caused by money.
Yeah. Well, I met with a couple, a month ago. And, this guy's made from 300 to 400 to $1 million a year. And they're broke. And because he's got the story, I'll just make more. I'll just make more. I'll just make more. And it's just this repetitive thing. And so this is the first time in his life we sat down. I'm like, okay, not beating you up, but you made up a story that you'll just make more. How's it working? Is it serving you?
Do you have more?
I'm not blaming you. I get it. I'm like, based on your net worth and your balance sheet and the fact that you're not financially independent and you're in your late 50s, that story is not serving you. So we need to change the story. And the other thing is what you guys are talking about. This changed us was the people that struggle are like, I can either have fun or I can be financially independent and save money. They have this either or story. And when we interviewed the people, or Marlo interviewed the people in the book, they're like, it's not either or, it's both. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You can make big money, save big money, give a ton of money, and you can have a blast. I just did an Instagram post on this morning. People are like, I can either grow a big business or I can be great with my family and be there for them. And the people that run in that kind of world-class circles, they're like, it's not either or, man, it's both. So when we started doing the both mentality, no, we can have fun and we can save money and we can give a ton of money. We can do both.
Yeah.
Just a story.
You're listening to Haystack Help Radio. Special edition of Your Money Matters. Hey, our topic today fits right in. Couples Money. What every couple should know about money and relationships by Marlo and Chris Felton. And they say this, after reading this book, you will not look at money or each other in the same way. Check out the website, couplesmoney.com. Get your copy today. We'll be right back.
Littleton Heating and Air Conditioning is proud of their 45 years of HVAC service to Littleton, Highlands Ranch, and Denver metro area. Littleton Heating and Air Conditioning is your Lennox and Carrier expert heating and air conditioning contractor. They are proud to offer the finest heating, air conditioning, and indoor air quality products with prompt and professional customer service and satisfaction. Call today and mention Haystack Help Radio and save $25 off any repairs or $100 off your furnace installation. Call 303-798-3880. That's 303-798-3880 for your appointment today. Littleton Heating and Air, A-plus members of the Better Business Bureau and official Haystack Help registered company.
Ladies, I know you're tired of walking into the local gun store and seeing the same old thing. So let me tell you about Rampart Firearms. Just a quarter mile up Highway 67 off of Santa Fe and Sedalia, you will find a great selection of guns, ammo, tactical, and personal defense weapons. And if you or your spouse love to hunt, Rampart Firearms is a great stop for all of your hunting needs. Shotguns, rifles, pistols, anything from predator hunting to your next big game trip. Head to Rampart Firearms at the foot of the Rockies. Open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And you will only pay a 4% tax on your purchase. RampartFirearms.com, 720-468-0050. That's 720-468-0050.
I was out on my motorcycle, and a car came out of nowhere and hit me, and I was hurt bad. My life was instantly turned upside down. I can't go to work. My bike was totaled. I had some savings, but that's all gone. And on top of all that, the person who hit me didn't have any insurance at all. I just don't know what to do.
After you've been in a motorcycle accident, call Kevin Flesh at Flesh Law. He will answer all of your questions. Kevin Flesh will help you determine if you are entitled to compensation for your pain and suffering. And he has the experience and the knowledge to navigate the complicated maze created by the insurance company designed to minimize your claim. Call Kevin Flesh of Flesh Law at 303-806-8886 to find out how he can help you to get the compensation that you deserve. That's Kevin Flesh, 303-806-8886. Call now and get back on the road.
Don't fall for gimmick ads when choosing your insurance coverage. Group Insurance Analyst has been Colorado's insurance superstore since 1984, where customers can compare and shop for all of their insurance needs. At GIA Insurance, their brokers have no allegiance to any particular health, auto, or home insurance company. Take advantage of their experience, expertise, and exceptional client service. For your free quote, call today at 303-423-0162. That's 303-423-0162. Visit their website, e-gia.com, or stop by their office at 44th and Garrison Street in Wheat Ridge. Group Insurance Analyst is an official Haystack Help registered company.
Got a question for the station? Email info@crawfordbroadcasting.com. Now back to Haystack Help Radio.
And we are back. You're listening to Haystack Help Radio. If you're just getting in your car or turning on your radio, this is a special edition of Your Money Matters, brought to you each week by Affordable Interest Mortgage. Once again, your one-stop shop for all your mortgage needs, 720-895-0500. Glad to have in studio today Chris Felton. And Chris and his wife Marlo are the authors of Couples Money, What Every Couple Should Know About Money and Relationship. Now, Kurt, if this was titled What Every Man Knows About Money and Relationships,
We'd have been done.
This would be a quick
conversation
read.
would be over.
The pages would be blank. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
we tell you what we think.
Yes, exactly.
And then somebody say, well, how much do you have? And we say, none. Say, well, you got stinking thinking, because that doesn't work.
Exactly. So couplesmoney.com, and you can get your copy, and they do seminars there. Do you have dates on the website about seminars, or how's the best way to find out about upcoming?
Just contact us. I mean, we're always looking for groups that want to have us, speaking, whether it's seminars. We got some other talks as well in this digital age. Some of the things that we've recorded on the website, people can get access to without ever attending a seminar. They can get it now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, in your book, you talk about. Sorry about that. Scott. In your book, you talk about money thermostat. Okay. Explain to the people what that means and how do you change it. If you're at 68, how do you get 70?
Yeah. No, it's a fascinating concept, and it kind of comes from I don't know if you remember a book way back in the day called Psycho-Cybernetics, written by a guy named Maxwell Maltz, but he was a plastic surgeon in the 40s and 50s, and people would drop a lot of money to have reconstructive surgery and all that, and they'd heal up. They'd call him 9 months later, and they'd be like, "I want my money back because you didn't do anything." So, what are you talking about? So he'd have him into his office, and he'd show him the before and after photos, and it was obvious that work was done, but they didn't change their internal story. They still saw themselves as ugly. So that shifted his world, and he's like, oh my God, if we don't change the internal, the outside world is not going to change. And so that became Psycho-Cybernetics. Unbelievable read about this whole conversation. But basically his whole thing is you are where you are, you make what you make because that's where you see yourself. And so what happened to me was we were broke, and I was making the same amount of money for 7 years, and it wasn't working. And I was making the amount of money that I was making because when I was introduced to my business, that was the dream income I was sold.
That's right.
So when I got there, that's where I got there. And so until I upgraded the amount of money that I saw myself making through some of the stuff that we talk about in the book, and I'm a big believer in imaging and visualization and really doing the internal work to see myself at a higher income level. And we also talk about how you plan around that, the actual to-dos. I was always going to stay stuck because, it's like the thermostat in your house. If it's set for 70 degrees, if it goes to 76 degrees, the air conditioners kick on and drop it back down. And if it goes to 65 degrees, the heater kicks in. And so what I find with people that I coach that are in sales or commission-driven businesses, if they're used to making $100,000 and all of a sudden they're at 60, well, guess what, man? They pick it up. They do their prospecting, they make the calls, they do all that stuff. If they, get up to 150, 160,000, but they see themselves making $100,000 a year, they unconditionally cool it to get back down to that level. It's very fascinating.
It kind of works the same as you talked earlier about I want to spend more time with my family, and if I'm working this hard, I'm taking that away. So I can't have both. It's an either or kind of thing. Yeah. And I could see that. I was in the car business, had people working for me. I'd have salespeople get to a certain number. That's it. They would quit showing up. They didn't want to do anymore. They were comfortable in that zone, not understanding everything else kept going up.
Okay. The hardest step is the first step. So, I know we only got about 18 minutes left here, but how do you get into that initial conversation? I mean, we can take it both ways. If you're the husband and I guess, so you think the issue is the wife. I guess we always think that, but most time it's us. But how do you start the conversation? Because I think so many times the reason why people fail at a lot of things, whether it be, financial things, dieting, whatever the case may be, is they try to change too much at one time. They just try to make some big, huge transformation. I assume this is in steps. So how do you start that conversation? You got your spouse and you say, hey, look, whether you're the guy, you're wrong, and you want to open it up and try to get something going, or you feel like the other one's spending way too much money. How do you start?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was just and we want to encourage couples that you don't have to be sick to get better, right? It doesn't need to get as bad as it was for us before you make a decision, but it's just sitting down, and it doesn't have to be this resistant conversation because the first, 2 months of us, Marla and I, we recommend weekly meetings on this topic with your spouse, right? The first 8 were horrible because I brought my resistance, my guilt, all that stuff to the table. And it wasn't until I understood this concept called acceptance. You can't, until you just accept where you are, you can't create anything new. And so before you do it, you got to be like, okay, I'm taking 100% responsibility for my role in this. I'm accepting my role in it, but it's not about talking about why we're here, because that's a dumb conversation.
That's negative.
It's why are we here? We shouldn't be here. Yeah. That's what resistance is. What is shouldn't be. Until we go acceptance, and then we sit together. And once I got past my resistance and accepted that, hey, this is what it is. And then we started having really cool conversations about what we wanted to create. And it was more of like dreaming versus what most couples are out there, man. They're just busy. And they're busy running around, and they're busier than ever, and they got their phones in front of them, and they just, that's what we talk about in the book. What do you want? What do you guys want? We ask couples that all the time. They can't answer the question. What are you guys aiming for? I don't know, but we're busy.
We're chasing it, but we don't know what it is.
We don't know what it is. And so it's just about sitting down and Marlo, who had been blaming me for years on this conversation, just said, hey, guess what? I love you. I want to stay together. Basically all sins are forgiven, and like, let's talk about what we want to create. And I was like, oh, good. Thank God, man. We don't have to talk about, albeit we had to look at the mess, the debt, and the bad financial, cash flow. We start talking about, okay, this is what we want. And that's where you start. And in the book, we have multitudes of questions and conversations and stuff that you and your spouse can get, go through. But it's really getting clear on what you want, why you want it, most importantly, and then having a weekly conversation about we're either closer to that or we're further away. And the key part is small steps. People blow off the significance of small things like the $5 and $10 a day, all that. So we get focused on, Mount Everest, and we're at the base going, how is that going to happen? Well, you take the next step. And I love compounding. I love compounding in life for the right things. Mm-hmm. But the compounding of small steps over time is amazing. And when you're like, I can do that, that's where we want to get to everybody is I can do that. I can take that step. And then confidence. And then you meet on it and you celebrate it. And anyway, I can go on and on and on about it. But it starts a momentum as a couple. But the first step is, what do we want and why do we want it?
How often do you have these seminars?
We get hired to come into organizations, and we haven't done a kind of public out seminar in a number of years. So we get asked by churches and different people in financial services, and we come in and we do talks. That's why we've loaded up the website with really all the conversations, all our talks. We got a 4-week webinar that couples can buy, and they can go through, at the leisure in their home, and they can hear it all from us. So, almost everything we have is, sitting on our website ready to be consumed. We also have a closed mastermind group, online mastermind group that people join and have access to it. And we're dropping in content, internet and all this stuff's pretty wonderful. So we haven't really had a need to do this open seminar in a while.
So there's places they can go to on your website to get help to get started on that first step.
Yeah, they can reach us, and we do, we can do one-to-one coaching too, and all that's available to help them.
Kurt, you look back and you think, all the stuff that we get to do each week with interviewing, man, why didn't I know that when I was 25 and 30? And we probably did know it. It just wasn't brought to mind.
That's right. It goes back to what we heard, all that input that we heard for those first 18 years. And then we just figured we'd take it out. But the world's not the same now as it was 20, 40, even 70 years ago. The way people looked at their money then versus now, it's completely different. So to understand the impact it has, and when you say 60% of the people that go through divorces is over money issues, I think that's light. I think there's actually more than that.
Yeah.
Because nobody thinks they have enough in most cases, except for the top 5%.
Yeah.
But nobody thinks they have enough. They always want more, but you want more of what? More stress?
Yep. Exactly.
That's what I'm getting out of the book. So I really enjoyed the book, as you can tell.
So do you find that, once you guys sit down, you get on this program, and you realize there's going to be some lean times of going and doing fun things because you're both working toward this goal. Have you found that to be just super rewarding, or was there still some negativity there? Because maybe you couldn't go to play golf with some guys. Maybe, she couldn't go buy a dress, whatever the case may be.
Purse. There's a purse incident in the book.
Yeah. No, what we did initially was for the first couple of months is we did what we called it a cash diet, where it was just like we ate what was in the house because there's actual food in the house. I mean, we like our wine, but we went cheap on our wine. We didn't eat out. We wanted to see if any of those things really brought value to our life. I read a book called Your Money or Your Life. It's a phenomenal book. And the guy gave the best definition of money ever. And he said money is something that you exchange your life energy for. It's something you exchange your life energy for. And so the happy hours and the golf and all, I was exchanging my life energy for some things that weren't really creating value in my life. And so it just became an awareness. So that couple month period of cash diet, I'm like, all that garbage that was taking me away from what I really want, which was financial freedom, wasn't really bringing value to my life, even though my ego was telling me it was. That's how dangerous
you're approving yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so once we did that and we started getting our cash flow going, it was Marlo's idea, but she created fun accounts. We call them the fun funds. And, I can't believe how much I recommend this, and probably 10% of the people do it. But this, from a financial standpoint, probably saved our marriage, where it was just agreed upon that, fun for her was this, fun for me was this. My kids live in Atlanta, Georgia. Part of that was me going and seeing them, and Christmas and all that stuff. And so she, at the beginning of the month, would allocate the same amount for her fun account and my fun account. And we've been doing that for probably 8 years now. I can tell you to the penny how much money's in my fun account. And fun comes out of there. So if I want to go see my kids, it comes out of there. If I want to go do certain things, the money's allocated. And so we're not robbing from our financial future to go have fun. The money's allocated. And when the money's gone, the money's gone. Mm-hmm. And it is a phenomenal concept. And we've had a rocking beginning to our year. And she's like, all right, I'm throwing an extra $1,000 in your fun account. I mean, it's as if she gave me $1 million, right? I mean, I'm just like, woohoo! I'm like, I'm so but and now I'm mapping out what I'm going to do with my kids and all that when I show up. And it's fun because when I see my kids, like, Dad, what's the budget? What's the budget? And so we start making decisions on how we're going to spend the time together. And it's about creating memories, not blowing it on all these small things that don't bring value to our lives.
Mm-hmm. Because I think you do. You sit down. I mean, I do a lot of meetings in Starbucks, and a lot of times I'll go to certain Starbucks, and you always see the same people. We would probably all be shocked at what we spent on just Starbucks a month.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Very
it's
much so.
And that's the stuff. I was doing a seminar for a bunch of teachers, and I was like, oh, you guys can't save money, right? Because you're teachers. And they're like, oh, yeah, we can't save. Well, that's part of their story. I don't have any money to save. And when I do the exercise like we do in some of our workshops and online, there wasn't a person in that room that wasn't blowing $300-400 a month on garbage. And it was feeling what? The root story of, I don't have any money to save. Well, what were they doing? Proving that right by blowing it on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
One of your chapters I really enjoyed, and we're running out of time here, but segregating funds. When you have two different people get together, both very successful, both running their own businesses, the segregating of funds, theirs, mine, or ours.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that chapter, but kind of explain that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just, I mean, I got a client that's, uber wealthy, and I got another client I met with last week that isn't. They had the same thing. It's just this black hole of money. The black hole's coming in, it just goes in a black hole and it goes out. And so if you don't create buckets for that money, it just dissipates. So, we always view each other's money as combined. It's ours, right?
Right.
And then we allocate the fund
to different buckets.
Exactly. But our biggest thing is, hey, we need to save X percent, right? So as our income's gone up, the percentages haven't changed. And we learned that from one of our wealthy mentors. He has percentages that have been the same for savings, for tithing, for taxes, for personal expenses. Those percentages have stayed the same regardless of how much money he's made.
That goes with that 4-letter word budget.
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey talks about that. Put things in envelopes or folders or buckets.
Yeah. Because it's just, when you're having fun over here, but you don't make the connection that it's taking away from your financial independence, there's no connection there for a lot of people. So you got to get that money allocated properly or struggle.
And it probably changed a lot of things you're talking about for your kids too. Because before maybe, you're with them, you're spending money on them, but in your mind, you're knowing like, I really can't afford to do this. But now, hey, I've got the money.
You got that extra $1,000.
I don't have to look back at it with regret almost, from the money side.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing about it is, have it, and it's not that I've arrived and I got it all figured out, but we've created some pretty cool things and some great success. And having your kids watch you win financially is one of the greatest feelings I've ever had. And it's not about the money or, pride, but it's just like, dad's living his life, he's calling his shots. Dad has freedom. And that example is way more important than any baseball game, Christmas present.
Sure.
They don't. So it's, they're 17 and 14 now, and the way they think is a lot different than their friends because of, the struggles and the growth I had to go through. And they want that. They want to have that freedom so they can be in the driver's seat of their life and make choices and not be under the thumb of somebody.
You're giving them a good example of what to how to work towards being financially free.
Yeah.
And most parents, for the first 18 years, they don't teach us that because they were never taught that. So then it doesn't keep going down the family tree. You're changing some of that, which anytime you can help your children and your grandchildren is much more of a blessing than anything else in teaching them life values.
Yeah. And that's, kind of the point is this takes work. It takes work. It takes discipline. And, I attack this money mentality thing. I said, as an Olympic athlete would treat their sport, I wasn't casual about it because I was so sick of being broke. And our message to everybody that we talk to is it's worth it, man. It's worth all the time, it's still daily. It's in the morning. I got a morning routine. I have to allocate time towards this. And what it's done is it's leveled up my life spiritually, relationships, health. I mean, Billy Graham said, when you get your mentality around money straight, it's going to help out almost every area in your life.
Sure.
Scripture talks a lot about that.
Substantial. So the work is worth it. The work is worth it.
Well, thank you, sir. This has been great.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to doing this again.
We're going to do it again, but next time we need to bring Marlo.
She's much better. I got a face for radio, they say, right? She's got the face for TV.
Yeah, I would like to have her.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
Volcanic reaction.
No, she's great.
All right, couples money. What every couple should know about money and relationships. Check it out, couplesmoney.com. Chris, thank you very much. Kurt, thank you, sir. Most of all, thank you for joining us today for Haystack Help Radio and Your Money Matters. Check out our website, haystackhelp.com, and our helpline is always open, 303-333-HELP, 303-333-4357. Have a great afternoon and leave it right here on KLZ 560.
The views and opinions expressed on KLZ 560 are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of Crawford Broadcasting, the station, management, employees, associates, or advertisers. KLZ 560 is a Crawford Broadcasting God and Country station.